Today, I want to talk to you about how important time management can be and how we can take control of our time to reach our goals. Did you know that we waste 2 hours of time every day at work? It leads companies to lose about $759 billion a year in the United States. Now that's just at work, so think about how we spend the rest of our time and how much of it we really waste. Now, not all activities are really time wasters. Let's face it, some really are more productive than others. Now, I've spent most of my life chasing time, so I know how hard it can be to gain control of your day and accomplish your goals. I found some ways to become a better time manager, and I want to share that with you. For the next few minutes, I want to share with you how many people in the United States spend their time. I want to help you identify the time that you spend, and I want to discuss strategies to help you become a better time manager. First, let's look at how people spend their time. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, people spend their time in 4 primary ways. The 3 things we must do include going to work or school, doing household chores, and caring for our children. The 4th, however, is leisure activity. So how do we spend our leisure time? We watch TV, socialize, and exercise. It's broken down like this. We watch television for 2.7 hours a day, plus spend an additional 61 minutes a day looking at advertisements. If you're age 16 to 19, you spend about 1.1 hours a day on gaming systems. Men exercise about 1.9 hours a day, women about 1.3 hours a day. Now, some of us have a little more leisure time than others. Employed adults living in households with no children under 18 engage in leisure activities for 4.5 hours a day, nearly an hour more than employed adults living with children under age 6. So for some of you, you have an extra hour you need to manage. Now, there are other ways we spend our leisure time, of course. Women, we decide what to wear every day. It takes us about 16 minutes, except on weekends. On weekends, it takes us about 20 minutes. Now, that's about a year of our lives spent deciding on what to wear. But it's for good reason, because we all spend time watching the opposite sex. That's right. Boys, you watch girls, and girls, you watch boys. You do it for about 2 years of your life. At work and at school for some of you, you spend about 6 weeks a year just looking for lost papers that you've misplaced. We spend an average of 46 minutes a day commuting to and from work, and we shop an average of 56 minutes if you're a woman and only 35 if you're a man. And how much we know about the internet, we understand that we spend 13.9 billion minutes on Facebook in 1 month. We also spend 4.9 billion on MySpace. Quite a number. So, with all these activities, how do we know where we spend our time? The first step is to find out where you spend your time. Not everything you do for leisure is a waste of time, but you need to know how you spend it. So, go ahead, take a week, track your time in a log book so you get a very clear picture of exactly how you spend your days every day. This will give you a basis to understand where your time's going, and then you can learn to manage those activities a lot better. The next step is see how well you plan time already. Inside the packet of information that you have in front of you, you should see a quiz called How to Plan. Take the quiz. See what practices you might already use to manage your day. Now, keep focused additionally on your long-term goals. Keep a list of your accomplishments that you want to achieve in the next 3 to 5 years. Refer to the list often. Remember, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. So if you believe you're no longer on the right road, look back at your long-term expectations and see if they can guide you back on the path where you belong. Now you have a better idea of your time commitments and the activities and where you spend it, so let's manage them. When you ask somebody, what do you want to be? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? A lot of them say, I see myself as a manager, or I see myself as the boss. Well, here's your opportunity to be just that, the boss. The boss of your own time with all the responsibilities of a manager. How do you actually manage time? Just like any other important asset. You wouldn't ignore your best employees or leave your most valued company asset out in the rain. So think of time as your most important asset. Here are some ideas to help you become a good manager of time. The first thing you need to manage your time effectively is a calendar. Not just any calendar, but a workable calendar for you. Everyone is different, so they're going to make different personal choices about the calendar they want when they select it. Some calendars are simply month-to-month representations of a year, but others have activity lists, and some have weekly or even daily planners attached to them. You need to pick the one that works best for you. You might need to experiment with a few, because not every one is going to work for you on the first try. Included in your packet are some examples of a master schedule calendar. It might be a really good start for you to take a look at that and see if that one works for you first. Now, some people choose to use an electronic calendar. This can be a good choice, but don't be discouraged if it's not a good choice for you. I find using both works for me. I plan everything on a monthly calendar. I can touch it, I can see it, I can change it, and look at the details. But then I program my reminders into my phone, so I always know when my next meeting, activity, or event is going to be scheduled so that I won't miss the date. So now you select your calendar. What do? Write everything down. Yes, everything. All of your class times that are blocked out, all of your lab times, all of your team sports, if it applies to you, all of your scheduled times that you need to be in practice or in the gym, if you're training. You need to put down your eating time, you need to put down your sleeping time. You can't miss out on these opportunities. It's not a block of time if you're actually sleeping, so you have to put them down on your calendar, otherwise you'll double book. And then as soon as you get any assignments, as soon as you get your syllabus, look at the assignment schedule. Write down everything in your calendar that takes time, that has a deadline. Every assignment, every deadline, every event needs to be in your calendar. And now you know what's expected of you every day. Now go back to your calendar. Look at the events that you schedule. Try to assign times to the tasks that you've decided are important to you. I know, it'll change, I understand, but give it your best guess. Because this is a time allotment strategy that you need to use to back up your time so that we're not late on our assignments. For example, if you have a lit paper due 2 weeks from today and you've allotted 5 hours to do it, it certainly isn't going to make any sense to start it that night or miss your deadline. You need to look back in your calendar and find 5 hours available to you to block out so that you can start working on the paper in enough time to have it ready for the due date. Now, I want you to also look at your calendar and take notice of some similar tasks and activities. If you have 2 papers due and they both require research time in the library, block a time where you can do the research for both papers at the same time. That way, you only go to the library once and you save a lot of time in not visiting twice. Review how you spend your time from your log notebook. Take a look and see if you can minimize or eliminate some of the time wasters that you find. Yes, it's nice to say that you reached World 9000 in your Mario Galaxy game, but let's face it, does that really help you accomplish the goals that you've set? Get better organized in your personal life so that you're not spending time searching for assignments or in my case, searching for your keys every day before you leave the house because you can't remember where you left them. This is really important. It's a huge time waster for people. Remember, you are not perfect. Nobody is. So do yourself a favor and stop making everything you do perfect because it's a great time waster. You need to understand that sometimes good is good enough. Use your calendar to guide you before adding any activities to your agenda. This requires you to learn a new 2-letter word. It's a really difficult word for most of us to say, and especially difficult for most of us to mean. But the word is no. Don't feel guilty or worried about what other people might think when you use this new word. You may ask you if there's things that you can do to help them. Consult your calendar. Double check and make sure that you can afford to make the time commitment. If it doesn't work in your schedule, then don't do it. And finally, remember, celebrate your accomplishments. This is a step we often forget to do. You finish 2 projects with time to spare. It's an accomplishment. Celebrate. Take a break. Go to the park. Go to a museum. Take your time and reward yourself with a really fun activity that you like to do. You might be thinking, how do I finish all my work in time, let alone early? Well, I'll tell you prioritize. Every day you must plan your day. Every day. Either in the evening before bed or when you wake up at breakfast time, you must look at your upcoming schedule and set out your task list of things to do the next day. Break down your tasks, no matter what you may believe or what you've been told. Nobody works well under pressure. Don't do this to yourself. It causes stress, mistakes, and missed deadlines. Invest in your good mental and physical health by listing the details of each task that's assigned to you. Block out the time on your calendar. Make it small pieces so at the end you're not overwhelmed. Some people work better by tackling harder tasks in their first attempt during the day. Some people like to work on the smaller things first so they can build up some confidence and have some accomplishment before they tackle the hard ones. This is up to you. You decide how you work best. You must be flexible. There's always occasions for diversions and pitfalls you didn't account for. Revisit your calendar and find out how you will need to adjust your schedule to still reach your goals. Do your best to limit distractions. You blocked an hour to do research at the library and focus that time on the research. It doesn't help you to think about the test you just took or to look at some other topic. And finally, become the delegator. Do not be the only person who does the work on a group project, or the person who volunteers to help others but never gets help in return. Ask people for help if you need it, and be willing to accept it. They may have a lot of calendar time right now to help you, and you can return the favor when the tables are turned. Now I've shared with you some time management skills that have worked for me. It's up to you to embrace them and let them work for you. Don't be discouraged if they don't work right away. Management is a learning process, and it takes a lot of practice. Some of our activities are important, others are time wasters. Now you're able to use the strategies I shared with you to identify where you spend your time, manage it most effectively, and remember that we each only have 24 hours in our day. How we manage those 24 hours not only determines if we're successful in accomplishing our goals, but it also determines how we can spend our leisure time. Thank you very much.